Hi, hello and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. In this episode I go through a tunnel that is incredibly light. I make a real hash of going around some corners and manage to get myself grounded, and spoiler alert, I finally arrive at the marina. So how did it all go on day 4 of the 3-day cruise from the Whilton to the Cropredy Marina? I needed to move my narrowboat from the Whilton to the Cropredy Marina. These two marinas are about 14 miles apart, but by canal they're 30 miles and 30 locks. And I'd allowed myself 3 days to do this, and I needed to make the move before the locks closed at Braunston and on the Napton flight for repair. On day 1 I completed 6 miles, the Braunston tunnel and 11 locks. I didn't quite meet my target for day 1, which was to get to Braunston. On day 2 I left Braunston, completing 2 locks and 7 miles of canal, and moored for the night near Napton on the Hill. On day 3 I was aiming for a rather ambitious 17 miles and 17 locks to catch up. However, I fell short of my target and only completed 10.2 miles and 9 locks and moored near Fenny Compton for the night. On day 4 I needed to complete the last 7 miles and 8 locks from Fenny Compton down to the marina, so my 3-day cruise turned into a 4-day cruise.
And we're off on day 4 of taking the boat down to the marina. I remembered to grease the stern gland this morning. I forgot to do it when we moored up the other evening. And I have also checked the weed hatch because I thought I had something wrapped around the prop, but I couldn't find anything down there, so that was all clear, so that was good. Did my usual engine checks, belts, water, oil, all fine, and she started up with a little twist on the accelerator to get a bit of power through to the engine, so that's great. Good stuff. Boat is absolutely covered in leaves this morning. Considering I'd only left it there a couple of days, I was surprised just how leaf covered it was. Shocking. The Oxford Canal is incredibly narrow, just passing some boats here, and I'd hate to meet a boat coming the other way, tempting fate now of course, because there's hardly any passing room and the sides are so shallow. It'd be really difficult to get past, a real challenge. Just past the last of the moored boat and passing the Fenny Compton Marina, and now heading towards something that in the Nicholson Guide is described as the Fenny Compton Tunnel. Yet it doesn't seem to be marked as a tunnel on the book, so quite odd. Bit of a grey day out here today, but the sun is at least trying to peek through, so maybe it'll warm up a little bit. It's a little bit chilly at the moment. I just can't get over how narrow the Oxford Canal is, how shallow it is in parts. It's really difficult to navigate through it. Shortly we'll be coming up to the Fenny Compton Tunnel. We've got bridge 137 and then 137A, and then we enter the tunnel as it's labelled in the book. So we'll see. Short distance to travel today. We've only got 6 miles to do to get to the marina, but we've got something like 8 locks in those 6 miles. Interesting. Bridge 137 is a footbridge for the towpath to cross over from this bank to that bank, and then the towpath seems to vanish up a hill here just after bridge 137A. So what's going on here? How would a horse manage to tow a barge through here? The towpath on the left here seems quite elevated. Maybe that's why it's called the Fenny Compton Tunnel. Quite odd. It's very deep cutting, and we're just coming through the longest sort of straight stretch of the Oxford Canal I've seen so far. No wiggly bits, makes a very pleasant change. So I was commenting on how straight this part of the Oxford Canal is, and it is straight for the Oxford Canal, and also it was quite wide, but it's now got quite narrow through this tunnel section here. We've still got the raised towpath on the left, but we've got quite a lot of weed encroaching here, and it's sort of about a boat and a half wide, quite challenging to get through. And I'm being followed by another boat. I don't think you can see it behind me yet, but it is there. They're gaining on me. I think it would be quite magical coming through here in the spring and the summer because it's beautiful countryside. The trees here are fantastic, but as we're sort of late autumn, early winter, we're not getting to see it at its best. I look forward to seeing this when I come back this way next summer. Again, the canal has suddenly narrowed. The towpath has actually come back down to the side of the canal, but it means that the canal here is incredibly narrow and quite shallow. Difficult to make progress with the boat. If I met another boat coming the other way, one of us would have to reverse, because I don't think there's any way you can get two boats through here. Interestingly, the banks here are made up of some quite large stones on the side. I don't know if you can sort of see them down here and also on this side over here. Maybe this is still part of the Fenny Compton tunnel. Just intrigues me that we've got the Fenny Compton tunnel on the map, and yet it doesn't really seem to be a tunnel, and why call it that? Very odd. I'll have to look it up later. If I find out the answer, I'll let you know. If you do know, let me know in the comments. Wow, we've got a quite tight pinch point coming up here. And then the canal widens again, which is good. Very odd. The boat seems to be really bogging down in this narrow bit here. I guess it's very shallow. The other boat's really gaining on me now. You can just see it behind me here. Well, the Oxford Canal is so shallow in places. If I get anywhere near this bank on my right, I start to run aground, and trying to get through some of these bridges is quite tricky because you need to line up and be over on that right hand bank just to get through the bridge. Coming up to bridge 139, I just ran aground on the corner there because I went over towards the bank to try and get through to line myself up, and boat started leaning, making funny noises because I'd run aground again. There was a corner a little way back where I really struggled to get around it. I got too close to the right hand bank and seriously ran aground. It took quite a bit of work to get off the mud. It's interesting, when the canal widens and deepens, the boat handles in a completely different way. It becomes responsive all of a sudden. When I get into that shallow, narrow stretches of canal, the boat really seems to sort of bulk down, and it's very difficult to maneuver and turn the boat. Real challenge to get around some of these corners, particularly if they're a narrow corner and very, very sharp. If I'm doing this wrong, let me know in the comments, because I am struggling to get around some of these corners on this canal. Is it more advisable to be on my left hand bank here with the towpath? Is it likely to be deeper over there? Or should I be closer to the right hand bank? My feeling is the left hand bank, because every time I get anywhere near the right hand bank, I seem to bog down in mud. It seems to be very, very shallow over there. So far, and famous last words, I've not met any boats coming the other way, so I've not had any issues with trying to pass another boat. It's going to be interesting when I do meet a boat coming the other way. You see there, turned beautifully, because I'm in a wide part of the canal and I've got a bit of depth under the boat. So is it just the shallow areas I'm having these problems with? And what is the best approach? Please let me know in the comments. Oh, and typical, spoke too soon. I've got the first boat of the day coming towards me down the Oxford Canal. And that's the first boat of the day passing me on the Oxford Canal, and I appear to have gone over too far to the bank and run aground again. On it. Oh, it is shocking. Do you want to go by? Go by. Do you want to go by? Yeah, go on. Oh, it's shocking. You should be okay-ish through there. He just came through. His feet are stuck. You got enough space there, haven't you?
Let them go past.
Cheers.
It's shallow.
Oh, I know, shocking, isn't it?
Let's stop it.
No, I'll get off. I'll get it off there, thanks. There you go. You see, you're helping. Well, that's good. The boat that was behind me, I've let them overtake. Now all I need to do is get it off this bank. I seem to have got myself stuck on. Ooh, movement. Good. Right, and we continue on the journey down the Oxford Canal. I'll just let them get a bit of distance ahead and then follow on through. Just coming up to my first swing bridge in this boat, and it's open. Apparently it's almost permanently open, and it is incredibly tight through it. Amazing. I'm going to do very well to get through this without scraping the sides. And I think after this we've got 3 more bridges and then into our first lock of the day. Wow, that's only just fitting through there. We're talking inches to spare. Absolute inches to spare there. And that was my first swing bridge. Bridge 141 on the Oxford Canal. And again, the canal's got incredibly narrow. I'm still making a huge hash of getting around these corners. You can see a classic one just behind me here, in which we're going around the contours of this field, and it's quite a sharp bend, and I was all over the place. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here, what I'm doing wrong. And as you can see, I've got another canal boat coming up behind me, another narrowboat, which I'm very inclined to let pass so that I don't have the issues of me battling around a corner and somebody being held up. Real problem. It's got to be something I'm doing fundamentally wrong on the Oxford Canal here with these tight corners and this shallow canal. Good grief, we've got a convoy going on. I've got 2 canal boats behind me. I'm really holding up the traffic on this canal. Sorry about that if you're behind me. For a second there, I thought this bridge on my left was the bridge I had to go through as I came around that corner. I was quite worried about having to do this turn. That would have been incredibly tight. But that is bridge 142. Nice bit of brickwork. Got them moored 3 abreast here. Doesn't look like they've moved in some time. Maybe the outer one has, but the inner two, not so sure. Looks like another sharp bend coming up, and I've caught up with the boat that I let pass earlier. They seem to be struggling a little bit around the bend. They've got a bit of a lean on, which suggests it's shallow, and it seems to be quite tight. So it'd be interesting to see how I do with this one. Right, I'm coming into another sharp bend. I've just passed a boat, so I'm on tick over. I'm going really, really slow. The boat that I let pass earlier, I'm now pretty much caught up with for some reason. And I'm going to try and follow the line that they've taken through the bend. They're moving very slowly. I'm just on tick over. So let's see if this makes a difference. They did have a bit of a lean on at one point, which suggests they may have run aground. It does seem to be an accumulation of silt on these bends. So let's see how this one pans out. Maybe this is where I've been going wrong. Maybe I haven't reduced speed enough before I come into the bend. Coming in at tick over. Maybe that's the way I should always be doing it. Slowing right down. And then just easing the boat around. What's your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. Now this is where I run into problems. The bow really isn't coming around as fast as I would like at this point. And I don't know what to do. Should I give it a burst of power? Or should I put it in neutral and just let momentum take over? Let's put it in neutral and let momentum take over. Okay, bow is coming around now, which is good. Excellent, okay. Add the momentum there to swing the bow. And then back into gear. Maybe that's the secret. Maybe that's where I've been going wrong. I've been rushing the corners. I've been coming into them too fast, not using my gears correctly. As I've said, I'd love to know your comments and thoughts on this one. Please let me know below in the comment section. Okay, here we go. First lock of the day. I let a boat pass me earlier, so they're going to get first go at it. Again today, I'm lucky, I'm not single-handing. I have a lock helper with me, which is great. Makes life a lot easier. Okay, so here we go for the first lock of the day. We've now got quite a queue of boats behind us. Seems to be a very popular day for moving boats on the Oxford Canal. Just had to let a boat in front of us go down the lock and wait for one to come up it. Ooh, hit the side there. These Oxford locks are very tight. Okay, so that's my first lock of, I think, 8 of the day. It's going to be a long day if it's going to take this long with each lock. Unless we've got 8 locks very, very close together. Supposedly only about 6 miles we've got to do, but let's see how it goes. Okay, first lock of the day done. Now what I need to do is remember to pick up my lock buddy. Oh, my lock helper has decided it's a close one. She's not getting on board and it's just around the corner, it looks like, so we better get going. Yep, looks like she was right. The next lock is just around the corner. Okay, and here we go for the second lock of the day. I've just been hovering here. Interesting lock. It's got one upper gate and two lower gates. I do find these Oxford locks quite a challenge. They are so narrow. This is Claydon Lock 16. Nope, this is Claydon Lock 18. So that was the second of 5 locks that are quite close together done. Moving on to lock number 3 of the day. It's another tight bend on the Oxford Canal coming up. Okay, and into lock 3 of the 5. Wow, very cute little cottage type thing next to this lock. Well, here we go into the last of the 5 locks at Claydon. This is the bottom lock. And then we've got a short cruise to our last 3 locks of the day. And that's us into Claydon Lock. Well, Claydon Bottom Lock. And that is the 5 Claydon locks done. Now we've got a bit of a cruise to our last 3 locks of the day. Well, that's lock number 6 done, just 2 more locks to do. This section of the Oxford Canal, famous last words, doesn't seem too bad. It's wider, it seems easier to steer in, it seems to be less shallow sections. I haven't run aground for at least an hour now, which is good news, and things are progressing well. Just about to enter the penultimate lock of the cruise. I think that's lock 29, is it? Can't quite remember how many locks in total we had, but we're about to go into the penultimate one. And then it's a question of finding the marina, which we were told at the last lock by some chap, it's quite difficult to spot. He says it's not well signposted, so we will see. Anyway, this is the penultimate lock. Just happily hovering here, waiting to go in. And in we go to the penultimate lock. Don't actually have too far to go after this. One more lock and then the marina is almost straight after it. So almost done, not bad. I was worried at one point when we go through the Claydon locks as to whether or not we were going to make it today, because we seem to be taking forever to get through those locks and to cover this 6 miles. A little bit of side wash there caught me. And here we go into the last lock of the relocation cruise. Wow, I wonder what the story is with that boat. I nearly didn't spot it there in the side. Half sunk and overgrown. Well, here we go into the last lock of the relocation cruise. 4 days. Some 28 miles of canal, Grand Union and Oxford Canal, and then this is our last lock. Next stop is the marina, which should be just after the lock on the right hand side, so we need to keep an eye open for that. Anyway, last lock, very exciting. Although it's a little bit sad that the cruise is coming to an end. I've really enjoyed this, it's been fantastic. It's been hard work, it's been rushed, which is a real shame, because I felt we were on a tight deadline with the lock closures that we had to get through before the 4th of November. But we've made it, and we are almost within sight of the marina, which is fantastic news. And that's it, the last lock of the trip. Broadmoor Lock and Bridge 150, Broadmoor Bridge. Now all I need to do is find the marina, which should be on my right down here a little way. Now this is an interesting boat coming up on our left now. This is something I've not seen on the canals before. Very interesting. And here we are coming up on the marina. Okay, so here I am in the marina and I'm making a bit of a hash of getting it into my berth. Oh dear, I seem to have aligned myself with the berth next door and not my own. Let's just hope the bow swings around enough that I can correct. Just burst. And after quite a struggle, we're in. And we're in. And that's the end of the transfer from the Whilton Marina to the Cropredy Marina. Now, if you've enjoyed this and want to know when I put out some more videos, don't forget to like and subscribe, and also you can subscribe to the newsletter, the QR code for which is on the screen now. And also don't forget, there is another video that you can watch which should be shown on the screen now. Thanks for taking the time to watch. Bye for now.